I never thought I'd be the guy standing here, writing about how my wife, Jessica, turned out to be a complete liar and cheat. We'd been married for 7 years, and honestly, I thought we had a pretty solid relationship. She's always been a little bitchy, high maintenance, sarcastic, quick to throw a tantrum if things didn't go her way. But I figured that was just her personality. Still, I loved her, or at least I thought I did. We started house hunting about 6 months ago. Nothing fancy, just a modest place in the suburbs. Jessica kept saying she wanted a dream home, something she could turn into her personal palace. I was all for it. I wanted to give her everything she wanted. We looked at a few places, but nothing seemed right. She was picky, and honestly, she was more interested in the decor than the actual house. I remember her saying, "This place is okay, but I'd need to gut the kitchen and put in marble countertops. You know I won't settle for less." Typical Jessica, her standards are sky high, and she's never been shy about telling me I wasn't doing enough to meet them. One Saturday, while she was out shopping with her friends, I decided to do a little sneak peek at the house we just looked at, the one she had dismissed because of a tiny crack in the basement wall. I figured I'd check for any signs of damage or issues. I had a key, of course, because she'd let me in once during a walkthrough. As I was walking around, I noticed something strange, something I hadn't seen before. The house had a security system, a pretty fancy one, but I'd never paid much attention to it before. That day I accessed the security feed from my phone. I figured I'd just see what the camera caught when nobody was home, but what I saw made my stomach drop. The footage was almost like a bad movie. There was Jessica, my wife, kissing someone, but not just kissing. No, she was going full on with a guy I'd never seen before. They were in the master bedroom, and it looked like some kind of private show. Her clothes were half off, and they were doing, well, exactly what you'd expect from two people having sex in someone else's bed. I was stunned, completely frozen. I couldn't believe she was cheating on me in our potential new house. I watched the footage several times, trying to process what I was seeing. Jessica was acting all innocent around me, acting like she loved me, and now I found out she was screwing around with some realtor named Kevin. It wasn't just a one-time thing either. The videos showed multiple sessions, all in the same house, all while I was supposedly working late or out of town. How long had this been going on? Had she been lying to me for months? Did she even care about the marriage? All these questions flooded my mind, and I felt like my world was crumbling. I was furious, but mostly I was devastated. The woman I trusted, the woman I wanted to spend my life with, had been lying and cheating right under my nose. It's not just the betrayal, it's the fact that she lied so convincingly, played the victim when I caught her, and acted like everything was fine. She's always been good at covering her tracks, and I hate feeling so stupid for not noticing sooner. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the videos, trying to understand how I missed all the signs, her secret meetings, her phone calls that she tried to hide, how she always found a way to cheat in the most obvious places but still managed to seem innocent. The next morning, I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I sat her down, told her I had seen everything on the security footage. Her face went pale, and for a second I thought she might deny it outright. But she didn't. Instead, she started lying, saying it was just a fling. It didn't mean anything, that I was overreacting, that I was paranoid. She had the nerve to call me insecure, say I was reading too much into it. But I saw her for what she was, an unfaithful, manipulative bitch who thought she could get away with anything. That confrontation was intense. She threw around excuses, crying crocodile tears, saying Kevin was just a realtor showing the house, that they never really did anything, that it was all a mistake she regretted. I didn't buy it. How could I? The videos told a different story. I felt betrayed on every level, and a deep anger took over. I wanted to smash something, to shake her until she told me the truth. Instead, I just sat there silently, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. That moment marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where I had to decide what I was going to do with this mess. I didn't want to just walk away without making her pay for this. I wanted revenge, a way to make her feel as betrayed as I did. That's when I started planning. I knew she'd try to deny everything, spin some bullshit about how it was a mistake, that she loved me, or whatever lie she thought would save her ass. But I also knew I had leverage. The videos were proof enough for me to destroy her if I wanted to, but I wanted to do something smarter. I wanted her to feel the damage, to understand that she couldn't get away with cheating on me and then just apologize and expect everything to go back to normal. So I kept the footage to myself, quietly collecting evidence, watching her slip further into her lies. I played it cool, pretending I was fine, but inside I was boiling. Every time she tried to brush things off, I felt the urge to explode. I started digging into her phone, her emails, anything that could give me more dirt. I needed to understand her game so I could strike back in a way she wouldn't see coming. And that's when it all started to take shape. I knew I had to act soon, because if I didn't, she might try to spin this into a way to make me the bad guy. I was angry, hurt, and more than anything, I was determined to make her regret ever crossing me. The real game was just beginning. After I'd seen everything on that security footage, I knew I couldn't just sit there and do nothing. I had to think carefully about my next steps. I couldn't afford to let her get away with it, not after everything I'd uncovered. The first thing I did was keep that footage locked down, safe from her, and started piecing together my plan. I didn't want to publicly embarrass her yet, at least not until I had all my ducks in a row. I needed a way to hit her where it hurt the most, in a way she wouldn't expect. Jessica was the kind of woman who always thought she was smarter than everyone else, especially me. She's manipulative, and she loves throwing around her bitchy attitude when she's annoyed or losing control. Her lying was next level. She'd deny, spinning stories about Kevin the realtor just trying to get her to buy the house, how she was just helping him with some paperwork, how she was just a woman with needs and I was overreacting. She said things like, "You're just insecure, Ryan," or "You don't trust me, that's your real problem." That made me furious. She wanted to turn everything around on me, make me question my own judgment, which is exactly what she's always done when she's up to no good. But I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I knew better. I kept the footage hidden, watching her every move, waiting for the right moment to strike. I also started digging into Kevin's background. Turns out, he's a realtor who's been doing this for years, sleazy as hell. I found out he's got a reputation for screwing around with clients, and I also found a few other women he'd been involved with. It all clicked into place. Jessica wasn't just cheating on me, she was one of his regular projects. I could see how she'd been using him as an escape, her way of feeling like she was young and free again. The idea made me sick. The thought of her in bed with him, giggling and acting like she was so clever, made my blood boil. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I wanted to do it on my terms. I waited until she'd come home from her shopping trip with her friends, probably to see Kevin again, I assumed, and I set my plan into motion. I didn't want her to think I was just some cuckolded husband. I wanted her to realize I was in control. I even hired a private investigator just to confirm everything I suspected. Sure enough, he came back with more proof. Jessica visiting Kevin's office more than once, her spending nights away when she claimed to be working late, even some sneaky late-night texts she tried to hide. That night, I waited until she was in bed, pretending to sleep, and then I took the footage on my phone and played it loud enough for her to hear me. I wanted her to know I wasn't bluffing. I told her I knew everything about Kevin, the house, the lying, everything. Her face turned white. She tried to act surprised, like she had no idea how I found out. That was laughable. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, saying, "Ryan, you're overreacting. You don't have proof. You're just paranoid." That's when I handed her my phone, showing her the videos, the texts, the pictures. The look on her face was priceless, shock, panic, and a flicker of anger. She just sat there speechless, and then she started crying, fake tears streaming down her face. "Ryan, I didn't mean for it to get this far," she whined. "It meant nothing. It was a mistake. I love you. Please don't throw everything away over some stupid affair." That's when I lost it. I told her she was a manipulative, selfish bitch who thought she could cheat and lie her way out of it. I promised I'd make sure she'd regret this forever. I told her I was done, and I was going to destroy her, emotionally, financially, every way I could. I wanted her to feel as betrayed as I did. To see her fooling around with Kevin would ruin her in my eyes. From that moment, I knew I had to act fast. I started planning my revenge carefully. I recorded more footage, hacked into some of her social media accounts just to see what she was up to, and I even prepared to confront Kevin directly. I wasn't going to let this slide. Jessica kept trying to deny everything, spinning stories about how she was lost, how Kevin was just helping her find a new house, and how I was jealous and insecure. But I wasn't buying any of it anymore. Her lies only confirmed what I already knew, that she's a lying, manipulative bitch who thought she could have her cake and eat it too. So I kept my cool, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I figured I'd gather all my evidence, then confront her publicly or privately, whichever felt right. I wanted her to know I wasn't some naive husband who would just roll over and accept betrayal. I was angry, hurt, and vengeful, and I was going to make damn sure she paid for every second she played me for a fool. The shock was just beginning to settle in my mind. This was a betrayal I wouldn't forget, and I was about to turn the tables on her in a way she never saw coming. All right, at this point, I'd gathered enough evidence to make her life hell if I wanted. Photos, videos, texts, everything. But I wasn't just planning to confront her and listen to her cry and lie her way out. No, I wanted to make sure she felt the full weight of what she'd done. I wanted her to realize that her manipulations and lies had consequences, that her betrayal wasn't just going to blow over because she said she was sorry. I started planting some seeds, so to speak. I wasn't ready to blow everything up all at once, yet. Instead, I paid close attention to her routines, her habits, who she was talking to, and when she was most vulnerable. I knew she'd try to spin it, deny everything, or lie her way out of it, so I prepared my own little game of psychological chess. I kept quiet, acting normal around her, but inside I was seething. Every time she threw a tantrum, snapped at me, or tried to deny the obvious, I kept my composure. One afternoon, while she was out shopping again, I took the liberty of installing a hidden camera in the master bedroom. I figured if she was going to keep sneaking around, I might as well catch her in the act. I already had the footage from the previous nights, but I wanted live recordings. That way, I could see her in the act if she decided to push her luck. I also made sure my phone was ready to record any unexpected conversations, just in case she slipped up and said something incriminating while I wasn't around. While she was out, I also contacted a divorce lawyer just to get some legal advice, but I knew I wasn't ready to pull the trigger yet. I was more interested in exposing her, making her feel trapped and powerless. I didn't want her to think she could manipulate her way out of this. I wanted her to understand I was serious about ending this, about making her pay for what she'd done. That night, I set up everything, turned on the new camera, and waited. I felt a mixture of anticipation and anger. I knew she'd try to deny everything, but I had the proof clear as day. When she returned home, she was acting even more bitchy than usual, probably because she knew I was onto her. I played it cool, didn't say much. She went into the bedroom and shut the door behind her. That's when I started the live feed. Watching her on my phone, I saw her remove her coat, then slip into the bedroom and close the door. Moments later, she was in there with Kevin, or at least that's what I suspected from the activity on the camera. I stayed outside, pretending to be relaxed, but inside I was boiling. The feeling of betrayal was overwhelming. Seeing her so comfortable cheating behind my back, lying to my face, every second felt like a punch in the gut. I kept telling myself I'd finally catch her red-handed, and when I did, there would be no more excuses, no more lies, just the brutal truth. Suddenly, the door opened and Jessica stepped out. Her face was flushed, her hair a mess, and she looked guilty as hell. I kept my expression neutral, but I knew she sensed something was off. She tried to act nonchalant, like she was just coming out of the bedroom to grab something, but I knew better. I kept my phone in hand, ready to record anything else she might say or do. She shot me a quick, annoyed look like I was bothering her, then walked past me towards the kitchen. I followed her at a distance, making sure I kept my cool, even though inside I was seething. She started making coffee, acting like everything was normal. That's when I finally decided I'd had enough of the charade. I confronted her again, voice steady but cold. "Jessica, I saw everything on the cameras. All those nights, all those times you were with Kevin. How long has this been going on?" Her face twisted into a mix of anger and panic. She denied everything at first, claiming I was crazy, that I was just paranoid. But I threw the evidence right in her face: screenshots, videos, texts. Her reaction was classic. She started crying, trying to guilt-trip me, claiming she fell into a bad moment, that she wanted to see if she still had it, and it meant nothing. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Ryan, I don't know what you want me to say. I made a mistake. I was stupid, but I love you. This doesn't change everything." That's when I realized her game. She wanted to keep the marriage alive just long enough to save her own ass, but honestly, I was done. I could see her true colors now: manipulative, selfish, and utterly unfaithful. I didn't let her keep spinning her lies. I told her she could pack her bags because I was done. I wasn't going to be some cuckold anymore, just a fool who got played. I was angry, yes, but also coldly determined. This was about more than just betrayal. It was about respect, and she'd lost that completely. I knew she'd try to plead her case again, maybe even cry her fake tears, but I wasn't buying it. I had everything I needed to make her regret crossing me. This was only the beginning of her downfall, and I was going to make sure she felt it every step of the way. From that moment on, I decided I wouldn't let her manipulate her way out of this. I got everything I needed: screenshots, videos, her texts, the whole 9 yards, and I started making a plan to finally end this charade. I didn't want just to confront her and go through the typical screaming match. I wanted to crush her, make her realize she couldn't hide behind her lies anymore. I knew her pattern: deny, cry, act innocent, and I was determined to flip the script so she'd regret the day she ever crossed me. I also took some time to look into her phone. It wasn't hard. She'd always been careless about hiding her messages when she thought I wasn't paying attention. I found a bunch of incriminating texts from Kevin, talking about their rendezvous, their plans, how they had to be discreet, and even some dirty messages about what they'd do next time. It was clear she had no intention of stopping, that she saw Kevin as her escape, her way to feel alive again. Honestly, that realization hit me like a freight train. She had been planning this, hiding it, and lying straight to my face for months. Once I had enough proof, I called a friend I knew could help. His name was Matt. He's a lawyer, and I knew I'd need legal advice before I made my move. I wanted to be prepared for whatever crap Jessica would throw at me, whether it was accusations, false claims, or even trying to turn everything around on me. Matt listened carefully, told me to document everything, and advised me to keep my cool. I didn't plan on giving her the satisfaction of seeing me lose my temper anymore. I knew I had the upper hand, and I was going to use it. The next day, I set a trap. I knew Jessica was planning to meet Kevin again. She always did during her shopping trips or business meetings. I took a day off work, pretending to be out of town so I could be in position. I installed a tiny hidden camera in the garage, aimed at the driveway just to see if she'd go anywhere suspicious. She did. She left the house in her usual rush, and I followed her at a distance, keeping my phone ready to record everything. She met Kevin at a nearby coffee shop, of course, in broad daylight. Then they went into his office building. I was secretly recording everything, watching her kiss him goodbye, see her hand linger on his shoulder, and then she got into her car and drove off. That confirmed everything. She wasn't just sneaking around, she was actively pursuing Kevin even after I found out. My heart sank, but at the same time I felt a strange sense of relief. It was finally real. I'd caught her red-handed, and there was no more denying it. Back at home that evening, I waited in the dark, calm and collected. When she finally came home, I confronted her again, this time with all the evidence laid out in front of her. I played the recordings, showed her the texts, the photos from Kevin's office, everything. Her face was a mixture of shock, anger, and outright defiance. She tried to spin it, said Kevin was just giving her advice on the house, that she was so stressed out she needed comfort, that I was overreacting. But I cut her off. I told her I wasn't interested in her excuses anymore. She crossed a line, and I was done playing her game. That's when she snapped. She got bitchy, raised her voice, called me paranoid and insecure, again trying to gaslight me into doubting myself. "Ryan, you're making a huge deal out of nothing. You're just jealous because I'm beautiful and successful," she sneered. That made my blood boil. I looked her right in the eyes and told her I'd had enough of her bullshit, her lies, her manipulations, her fake tears. I told her I was filing for divorce first thing tomorrow, and she could take her perfect life and shove it. In that moment, I felt a strange mix of relief and rage. I knew I was finally taking control, that she couldn't manipulate me anymore. She thought she was so clever, playing her little game, hiding her affair, lying her ass off. But I had her cornered now. The look on her face told me she realized she'd gone too far. I guess she thought I'd never find out or that I'd forgive her. But the truth was, I felt no way back. This was about respect, about standing up for myself, about punishing her for thinking she could cheat on me and get away with it. I spent that night packing some of my stuff, not just to prepare for a clean break, but to send her a message. I wanted her to see that I was serious. I wanted her to understand that her lies and betrayal had consequences. As I packed, I kept replaying everything: the shock, the anger, the betrayal. I realized how much this hurt, but I also knew one thing for sure: I was done. I wasn't going to be the fool anymore, and I wasn't going to let her keep me hostage in a lie. This was the end of our story. The next morning, I woke up feeling oddly light, like a huge weight had been lifted. I knew I had made the right decision. I sat in the living room, staring at the evidence I'd gathered, feeling a strange mix of relief and nausea. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind all this time, trusting her, giving her the benefit of the doubt. Jessica had been nothing but a manipulative, bitchy liar, and I'd let her walk all over me for too long. Now that I finally saw her for what she truly was, I knew I had to act fast. I called the lawyer first thing. We went over the paperwork, and I instructed him to prepare the divorce papers. I wanted this over as quickly and cleanly as possible. I also decided to serve her the papers in person. I wanted her to know I was serious, that I wasn't going to sit around and be her scapegoat. I didn't want to leave anything to chance. When I handed her the documents, her reaction was priceless. She looked stunned, then angry, then like she was about to explode. For a moment, she stammered, trying to deny everything again, but I cut her off right there. "Jessica," I said, voice cold and firm, "you've crossed a line. I've seen everything. You're done. I want a divorce, and I want full custody of the house and our assets. You've lied to me for too long, and don't bother trying to deny it. I've got everything on tape." Her face flushed and she started crying again, but this time it felt different. It wasn't fake. It was the kind of crying that only someone who's been caught red-handed could do. She looked genuinely panicked, like she knew her whole world was crashing down. I told her I'd be moving out soon, just enough to give her space to process everything. I didn't want a scene, didn't want to give her any more ammunition. I wanted to keep it clean, cold, and final. She begged, tried to guilt-trip me, and even screamed at me to stay to work things out. But I was done. I knew I'd never trust her again, and I wasn't about to stay in a marriage built on lies. Over the next few days, I packed up my stuff, hired movers, and got out. It was hard, really, really hard, to walk away from what we had. But deep down, I knew staying would only let her manipulate me further. I also reached out to friends and family for support because honestly, I felt shattered. The betrayal had cut so deep, and I was angry at myself for not seeing it sooner. But at the same time, I was proud that I finally took control. That's what mattered now, moving forward. Living apart was tough. Jessica was still trying to deny everything, throwing tantrums, calling me names, and trying to make herself the victim. But I didn't bite. I focused on my own healing, on rebuilding myself. I spent hours talking to my lawyer, figuring out how to protect my assets and making sure she couldn't manipulate the situation anymore. I also started seeing a therapist to deal with the emotional fallout. Honestly, it was a roller coaster: anger, sadness, relief, confusion. But I knew I had to stay strong. One day, I caught her trying to contact Kevin again. She'd been texting him secretly, trying to set up another rendezvous. That was the final straw. I blocked her number, changed my passwords, and decided I'd had enough of her lies. I realized that her manipulative tendencies weren't going to stop unless I took definitive action. It wasn't just about the affair anymore. It was about her refusing to accept responsibility and trying to drag me into her chaos. I knew I could never trust her again, and I didn't want to be with someone who thought she could cheat and lie her way out of it. Looking back, I can honestly say I've learned a lot from this hellish ordeal. Trust isn't something you can take for granted. People reveal their true colors when they think no one's watching. Jessica's betrayal proved that, but I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I can handle heartbreak, deception, and even heartbreak again. The biggest lesson: never ignore your gut. When something feels off, it probably is. And if you find yourself in a similar situation, don't be afraid to walk away. Respect yourself enough to know your worth and don't settle for someone who cheats and lies. Now, I'm in the process of moving forward, rebuilding my life piece by piece. It hurts, but I feel free. Jessica's betrayal was a slap in the face, but it also woke me up to what I deserve. I don't plan to get involved with anyone anytime soon. I need time to heal. But when I do, I'll be more cautious, more guarded, and definitely more aware that sometimes the people closest to you can turn out to be the biggest snakes. Trust is earned, not given, and I won't make that mistake again. In the aftermath of everything, I've come to see this chaos as a brutal lesson, one that I wish I hadn't had to learn the hard way. Jessica's betrayal shattered my trust in a way I never thought possible, but it also forced me to confront my own strength. I've realized that sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you can start climbing back up. I've spent months rebuilding my life from the ashes of her lies, and honestly, I feel like a different person now, more cautious, more aware, but also more confident. One thing I know for sure is that I will never let anyone manipulate or betray me again. Trust is a fragile thing, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to put back together. But I also learned that self-respect matters more than anything, more than trying to hold onto a relationship that's already dead inside. Jessica thought she could play her little game and get away with it, but I proved her wrong. I took everything she threw at me and turned it into my own form of victory. Not in a vengeful way, but in a way that made me realize my own worth. Now I'm focusing on myself. I've started working out more, taking up new hobbies, and reconnecting with friends I'd neglected during our marriage. The pain still lingers, sure, but I'm learning to live with it. I know I'll move forward better and stronger. It's amazing how a dark chapter can teach you what really matters: self-respect, honesty, and the courage to walk away when someone proves they're not worthy of your trust. Looking back, I wish I had seen the signs earlier: her sudden mood swings, her secretive phone calls, her dismissive attitude whenever I brought up the house or her whereabouts. But I was blinded by love, or maybe just by my own hope that things would get better. Deep down, I knew something was wrong, but I refused to believe it. Now I see that ignoring those red flags only made everything worse. To anyone reading this who might be in a similar situation, trust your instincts. Partner is hiding things, acting different, or lying to you, pay attention. Don't wait until it's too late to confront the truth. And when you do find out, don't be afraid to walk away. You deserve better than betrayal and manipulation. Life's too short to be stuck in a lie, pretending everything's okay. As for me, I'm not rushing into anything new. I'm giving myself time to heal, to learn, and to grow. I'll always carry the scars of this experience, but I refuse to let them define me. I've learned that true strength lies in knowing when to leave, and in having the courage to start over. Jessica's betrayal was painful, but it also set me free. Now, I'm finally free to find happiness on my own terms.